Hello, my name is Jennifer Compton. Today I will be discussing with you JetBlue's ethical actions taken during their Valentine's Day crisis of 2007, which affected approximately 131,000 customers. I will be speaking with you about the 3 ethical duties that JetBlue completed, the ethical duties of responsibility, accountability, and fairness. JetBlue successfully completed the ethical duty of responsibility by issuing a public statement stating that the actions and the severity of the actions laid on the shoulders of JetBlue's company because of the shoestring communication system that left pilots and flight attendants in the dark. This added to the confusion experienced by the customers, and they felt like they weren't really getting the information that they had needed to know what was, or to remain calm. It was also, the crisis was also a result of the undersize of the reservation system. David Neeleman stated that he had employees who had wanted to help with the crisis, but they were unable to because they didn't have the training that they needed to successfully resolve the issue. The article published in the New York Times in 2007 by Jeff Bailey also states that JetBlue held themselves accountable for their mistakes by amending or taking actions to amend the mistakes that they made. They achieved this by cross-training 900 of their corporate officers in executive positions to deal with the communication system and the reservation system during a crisis situation. David Neeleman also took an innovative action to train 100 existing corporate officers specifically for the purpose of communicating with flight attendants and pilots, knowing their location and directing them to their assignments. Due to the communication system being overwhelmed, Mr. Neeleman said he would adjust the work agreement that he had with agents of the reservation system to make sure that they would work longer hours during difficult periods of time, such as the Valentine's Day crisis. During this Valentine's Day crisis, there was an influx of callers, and the customers that wanted to rebook their flights were unable to because they could not contact a human agent and their system was overwhelmed. Mr. Neeleman also took an innovative step in reaching their ethical duty of accountability and fairness by issuing a customer bill of rights. This bill of rights ensured that the company would take necessary action so that customers could deplane on flights that were ground delayed for more than 5 hours. It also stated that the company, JetBlue, would provide food and drink to customers, access to restrooms, and as necessary medical treatment. This part in the customer bill of rights helped to add to the fairness of the compensation received by the passengers. There was a passenger that was stated in an article written by Robert Huckman, a business administration professor at the Harvard School of Business, that stated that the customer was offered food by the flight attendant, but he was actually charged $3 for one cookie that he ate. In this situation, JetBlue should have made the ethical decision, or the flight attendant should have made the ethical decision to not charge that passenger to eat the cookie after he had been on the flight for or had been ground delayed for at that point 8 hours. The Customer Bill of Rights was also seen by the article written by Robert Huckman as the company JetBlue carrying a consumers' rights flag. It also helped to empower people who had been rendered powerless by JetBlue's actions. This is definitely a fairness, ethical duty completed, because the customers that had suffered from JetBlue's actions stayed on the plane for over 10 hours. They also had experienced babies crying, backed up restrooms, and being contained within a tight area with a lot of people, and it was very hot and sweaty and started to smell after a while. So they were telling the customers essentially that they were going to ensure that their next flight that they chose would completely be like, I'm putting power into your hands. And that's a lot really ethical, because during that time the employees of JetBlue really didn't know the actions to take. So there was a lot of outrage about the flight attendants or the pilots not taking the courage step to say, okay, it's been this long, we need to get these off the plane, we haven't heard anything from anybody, let's just deplane. So this caused a lot of customer outrage, and when David Neeleman introduced the Customer Bill of Rights, it really helped to put a new perspective on how much JetBlue values their loyal customers. An article written in 2007 and published on www.prsa.org, a public relations tactics team evaluated David Neeleman's actions and stated that the Customer Bill of Rights needed to be issued, especially with a company like JetBlue, who is very customer service oriented, to ensure the loyalty and loyalty with the customers and the employees. Ethical decisions need to be made with companies that are as big and deal with as much as people's finances and deal with safety regulations. Ethical actions have to be taken because it ensures trust. It ensures trust within an organization, because the employees, being in the dark for so long, were unable to really manage the situation as they would want to, which means that they are not going to trust further into the company JetBlue. So JetBlue offered compensation for the employees, offered training. They paid for the training, which is seen as ethical fairness, because they provided the training that the employees need instead of employees going out and doing it. The compensation of the customers that were affected by the Valentine's Day crisis is also seen as completion of the ethical duty of fairness, because instead of not compensating them for the difficulties, they fully refunded the customers, and in addition to that, they provided them vouchers for a free round trip. Now, this helped to instill customer satisfaction and ensured that customers would return. I have just spoken to you about the ethical duties of responsibility, accountability, and fairness that were achieved by JetBlue during their Valentine's Day crisis of 2007. Thank you.